Hi, friends. Hi, friends on the internet. Hi, friends here in Albert Park. Good evening and welcome to the great Yarra Valley debate. Many of the world's great issues have been sought out right here in this room at Albert Park. Which football team do we hate more, Carlton or Collingwood? Which grape variety is better suited to the Yarra Valley? Is it Pinot Noir or is it Cabernet Sauvignon? Tonight, that question will be answered. Can we answer who will win the American election? No, we can't. We hope like hell it's not the lunatic. But I've been told not to editorialise on the subject of politics. But he's a lunatic. Tonight, we're going to drown our sorrows prematurely in the greatest of all Australian wine regions. Not just a wine region. Oh no, he said. More than just wine. But definitely Australia's greatest wine region. Only an hour up the road from us here, right here in Albert Park, is of course the magnificent Yarra Valley, home of not one, but two of Australia's winemakers of the year for 2017. I know you good people in this room know only of the one winemaker of the year, but one of our other mates has also snuck in to win a much lesser award, and we will introduce him in a moment, the secondary winemaker of the year. It is going to be a night full of wine tasting, silliness, hopefully bonhomie. Hopefully everyone's going to have a ripping good time because we have ripping great wines. It's going to be a heap of fun. It is not, as Sartre said, if a tree falls in the forest and it doesn't have a hashtag, did it really happen at all? So, a little bit of existentialism probably gone wrong there. The hashtag is hashtag Yarra Valley Debate. You can be watching us through the Wine Companions Facebook page. My name is Stuart Gregor, and it's my great delight to be your immoderate moderator here tonight. It is, I think, a sad indictment on the state of the Australian wine industry's personalities that they need to get someone who doesn't even make wine anymore, but gin, to come and moderate their debate. Sad as it seems. That said, of course, the gin I make, the Melbourne Gin Company's gin, oh no, he said, it's 4 pillars. Of course, its home is in the very heart of the Yarra Valley. It's Pinot versus Cabernet, it's Burgundy versus Bordeaux, it's good versus evil, it's the rebels against the empire. Give us a round of applause and we're about to get going. Here we go. So, the rules are, we're not so sure what the rules are. But what I'm going to allow each person, each one of the panel members to do is to talk about a wine on their team, not necessarily their wine. Oh yes, we have made this particularly complicated. They're going to talk about a wine for 5 minutes. They're going to talk about why their particular grape variety is superior. They're going to get a little bell at 4 minutes. And at 5 minutes, I'm going to stop them mid-sentence, shut them down. And we're going to taste 6 wines in exactly 36 minutes. Because the 1 minute in between, I'm just going to rattle on as if I haven't already with complete and utter gibberish. So welcome. We do hope you have fun. I'm going to first of all introduce the Pinot Noir team. It seems only appropriate that Pinot Noir be introduced before Cabernet. Ladies and gentlemen, she has been the boss, the winemaker and general manager for almost 20 years at the magnificent Tarrawarra estate that has, if you have not been there recently, the most spectacular, gorgeous, brand new cellar door and, of course, their incredible museum from Tarrawarra estate. Give it up for the wonderful Claire Halloran. He has come back in the last 48 hours from winemaking stints both in Spain and Bordeaux. But more important than his exquisitely long curriculum vitae as a winemaker and an incredible gin producer as well at the Melbourne Gin Company, Andrew Marks is most importantly, people, I'm looking at you out there, but most definitely I'm looking at you on Facebook, is looking for a new girlfriend. Please. Andrew Marks or the Melbourne Gin Company, wherever you go, he's a good-looking rooster. He has not one, but 2 incredibly successful businesses. No, three incredibly successful businesses in the Yarra. One is, of course, the spectacular Gembrook Hill, which is wine number 2. The other is the beautiful wines of the Wanderer. And the third is the Melbourne Gin Company. He's single, but hey, not for long, Andrew Marks. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm just going to put it straight out there. I hate Steve Flamsteed. Hate him. My wife would leave me in a heartbeat for Steve Flamsteed. You know, you are not surprised now, are you? The way I talk. That's what you just said, didn't you? Clyde, hit him. Seriously, mate, just lean across and give him a whack. He is the guy from Giant Steps. He's the cheesemaker. He's the father. He's the guy who also doubles for Todd Sampson on the Gruen transfer. He's body hack. He wears cool T-shirts, which he takes off in the middle of vintage, and everyone goes, oh my God, so many muscles for a 50-year-old guy. He's the father of the year, the second best winemaker of the year from that other magazine. He is Giant Steps. He is unreal. Ladies and gentlemen, Flammo, Steve Flamsteed. When they say people need no introduction, you probably should give them no introduction, but I will. She is the first winemaker I've seen in a long time who had their beautiful face plastered right across page number 1 of The Australian when, about a month ago, she was the Halliday Wine Companion for 2017 Winemaker of the Year. She made not one, but 2 wines that got 99 points. We're having her desultory dry red number 1 from Yarra Yering tonight as wine number 2. She is Halliday's Winemaker of the Year, Sarah Crowe. Crowe. Looking at Simon Steele right now, I see a young man who was probably in his budgie smugglers in Malaysia only 3 days ago, because you can't see more Adelaide than that. He has, however, seen the light, left South Australia, gone up to Brokenwood Wines, and finally come to heaven and making wines at that beautiful Medhurst winery that you, hopefully all of you know, just off the highway. He is, off the Maroondah Highway, he is the best red-jumpered man in the Yarra Valley, representing Medhurst. Give it up for our man, Simon Steele. David Bicknell comes with something of a reputation. He's the sort of guy, when I said, which ones of you have done the Len Evans tutorial, his answer was simple. 05 Ducks. What a good guy. I said, I didn't ask where you came in the Len Evans tutorial, just that you'd done it. But David's that kind of guy. He just likes to give you a little bit extra every time. And let's hope there's a little bit extra in his wines. 14 years the winemaker at Oakridge, former chairman of the Royal Melbourne Wine Show, all-round good guy and legend. Please welcome David Bicknell. And we are good to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, both online and in the room, I would like to ask you to please pick up the bottom left-hand wine. That is wine number 1 in Wine World. Have a bit of a sniff and ask the question for the ages. Claire Halloran, why is Pinot Noir in the Yarra Valley supremely superior to Cabernet Sauvignon? Claire.
Thank you, Stuart. So the first thing is, what is the Yarra Valley and what makes it great? We're talking about great wines, of course. It's a magnificent region. It has a brooding landscape, rolling hills and deep valleys. It can't be summed up in a neat phrase. Its geography and breadth impart inherent diversity, and you will be seeing that with the wines tonight. Its climate can be fickle, cold, foggy mornings breaking into sun-drenched afternoons, black skies on the dark hills bursting into immense downpours. For many, for all of us, it is a place of history, but for more people, it is now and the future. It is on an upwards trajectory. More and more people every year are flocking out on the Maroondah Highway. They come from near and far, indeed from all corners of the globe, Jeff Kennett wrote an article about visiting Tarrawarra recently, and he said it was like being in the United Nations. And what are they coming for? Is it Cabernet? Is that what they've heard about, read about, has enticed them to come exploring? No, it's Yarra Valley Pinot Noir. The term itself, Yarra Valley Pinot Noir, has become iconic. It lights us up on the inside, it quickens the heart. That is their journey, that is the future, and this is what they are seeking. Wine writer Mark de Villiers described Pinot Noir makers as lunatic fringe, questers after the Holy Grail, and in every pocket of the Yarra Valley, from Watson's Creek to Dixon's Creek, Hoddles Creek to Badger Creek, Wanturna to Realic, Yarra Junction to Yarra Glen, Diamond Valley to Don Valley, Coldstream Hills to Gembrook Hills, Smith's Gully to Long Gully, Mount Mary to Mount Beggary, you will find these fringe dwellers, and in this myriad of microclimates, they will all be there with their Pinot Noir, coaxing the vines to reach their fullest expression. Your Cabernet journey, on the other hand, will take you barely from the Maroondah Highway. You may meander from Coldstream to Gruyere, perhaps up to Stills Creek, and by then it will possibly be nap time. Whereas our fringe dweller Pinot Noir makers come from all corners, and their wines will be a true expression of the Yarra Valley. The diversity of styles, some ethereal and refined, some fleshy and voluptuous, not like me, each one an honest and unique expression of the transmutative nature of Pinot Noir. Like the Yarra Valley, with its geographical contrasts, its climactic variations, the wines, they can't be pigeonholed or categorised. Rather, individually and collectively, they will all be an expression of what is truly the essence of the Yarra Valley and what makes the Yarra Valley great. My friends over this side may refer to the Langton's classification, perhaps. It's an evaluation based on the resale value of wine. People don't actually buy Yarra Valley Pinot for their investment portfolio, to put it away as part of their share market. They buy it to drink it. They want that seduction, that passion, the sensation that simultaneously makes the blood run hot and calms the soul, the feeling that you know that you're alive. So my wine, the 2014 Reserve Pinot Noir, I think my friends here may also talk about history. These vines were planted in 1983. Thank you. And they speak of our place within the Yarra Valley. The fruit, the tannins, the structure, the profile, it is Tarrawarra, it is Yarra Valley Pinot Noir. And this is what you will see tonight from our selection of wines, the diversity and the beauty and that passion and seduction that it is Yarra Pinot. Thank you.
Claire was erudite, Claire was brilliant, and Claire finished 25 seconds under time, which should be a goal for all of you. The other goal I figured out is that probably also means you have 5 minutes to finish your glass of wine. I think it's a desperate shame if any of you were going to leave any of that Pinot Noir behind. That's an exquisite wine from Tarrawarra. An interesting a couple of analogies that Claire used, including likening the Yarra Valley to the United Nations, thus full of mad bastards who can't make decisions, I imagine. And if you've been in the Yarra Valley long enough, it's actually not a bad reference point there. And I would like to congratulate Claire for the use, for the very first time in any discourse I've had in wine, of the word transmutative. I think that's an outstanding use and keeping our trans friends very happy today. So to all of our friends in the LGBTT world, just showing you that Pinot Noir producers, if nothing else, are eloquent beyond belief. But are they the Cabernet makers? Are they eloquent? Speaking first will be Sarah Crowe. However, whilst speaking, because Cabernet producers are by their very definition complicated beasts, whilst she is speaking, she will be referencing David Bicknell, or Carlos, as he is known in the Yarra Valley, Carlos's Oak Ridge 864 Cabernet, which is the wine directly behind Claire's Pinot. Is everyone happy with that? Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't really matter if she can debate. It doesn't really matter what she has to say. She's the Halliday Winemaker of the Year for 2017, so she can just stand here and mime for 5 minutes as long as we get our hands on her wine. I hope she doesn't, and she won't. Ladies and gentlemen, the first speaker on what I'm now calling the negative side, because I think the affirmative always goes first, representing Cabernet Sauvignon whilst tasting the Oak Ridge, please welcome Yarra Yering winemaker Sarah Crowe.
Well, thank you, Stu. I like to let wine speak for itself. Please enjoy the wine whilst I'm talking. But Pinot Noir never really stood a chance, did it? You here in the room, you have already decided this before tonight. You have voted with your feet, or more importantly, you have voted with your wine purchases. You, my dear guests, are all the ammunition I need to prove that Cabernet is going to reign supreme over Pinot. We've mentioned, Claire mentioned Langtons tonight, and yes, I am going to reference them as well. And you will know their famous classification, Langtons, here we are. The highest ranking in their exceptional classification. They themselves call it the most highly sought after, prized, first growth Australian wines. First growth. Even Langtons are using traditional Bordeaux terms to describe their these wines of exceptional classification. And in that classification, 1 Pinot Noir out of 21 wines. The next one is their outstanding classification, which Langtons themselves call the Super Seconds, Australian wines of outstanding provenance. Super Second, once again, having a Len from Bordeaux. 7 Pinot Noirs from 53 wines. Then we have the excellent classification, classic Australian wines of consistent excellence. Three lovely Pinots, beautiful Pinots out of 65 wines. But really, the Langtons classification, there's a lot of South Australian wine in there, so is it reliable? I don't know, Yarra Valley's better. All right, so let's have a look at some sales of Yarra Valley wines from Langtons, and I'm going to apologise. You might want to call this death by statistics. So they gave me a sample size of over 18,000 bottles of all of their Yarra Valley sales, and those bottles include magnums and half magnums. Total value is over $860,000. Now, let's break that down into Cabernet and Cabernet blends, because let's face it, cash is king, right? Cabernet and Cabernet blends, 5,764 bottles, $460,000 plus. Chardonnay was next at 6,945 bottles. Now that's more bottles than Cabernet and Friends, if you're paying attention. But the total value of that in sales was only $225,000. And then we come to Pinot. Poor little Pinot. 4,461 bottles, that's less than Cabernet. But the total value, cash is king, $142,000. So from this set of data, which is a very good sample size, we can determine this. Cabernet is the clear winner at 53% of total sales value. Chardonnay represents 26%, and then Pinot Noir, 16% of total sales value. But you're right, I can hear you. This is only one source. Langtons might not represent the general wine drinking public, which is you. So I asked WineArc for some data, and here once again, we're going to look into what you are drinking. This is not even necessarily my opinion. This is just what you guys have already told me. So, Simon, if you wouldn't mind helping me out here. So, Wine Arc have recently released their top 50 most collected wines in Australia. Wine Arc, here's a blatant plug, Australia's largest climate-controlled wine storage business. They did give me the poster for free. In the top 50 wines, there are no Pinot Noirs. None. Not one. Not one.
None?
Oh, but there are 16 Cabernets and Cabernet blends. In fact, in their top 100 cellared wines, there are only 2 Pinot Noirs, number 60 and number 66. So this means that Pinot only represented 2%. I'm really good at maths, 2 wines out of 100. And Cabernet and Friends, 34%. What can I say? I have a copy of this for the Pinot panelists. And, you might want to pay particular attention to wine number 6. Stu, right next to you. What's wine number 6?
26, darling.
No, 20. Yes, sorry, 26.
Yeah. Oh.
Nearly 6. It will be 6 one day. Oh.
Yarra Yering Dry Red
Yarra-
wine number 1.
Yarra Yering, dry red number 1. So there you have it, in your words, not mine. But if you ask me, Pinot's much more delicious if you put some Shiraz with it.
Oh, Sarah Crowe. Oh, had a little Alan Jones moment then. Amazing. I don't know if you're like me, but I didn't understand a single thing she said then. But bloody hell, it was a nice Cabernet that we were drinking while she was talking, wasn't it? It's funny, isn't it? You know, when you're drinking beautiful wine, I think, well, with the exception, obviously, of listening to me, everything just dulls out the pain, doesn't it? Really, just drinking great wine is so much fun. Well done, Sarah. I've written a whole bunch of stuff here, but mainly the word prop. Well done. I think anyone who has a prop in a debate deserves, 1 point. And I did notice that slightly above the Yarra Yering Dry Red number 1 was in fact a Mount Mary Quintet, another Cabernet blend from the Yarra Valley that is a super terrific wine. I'd like to send our best. I'm quite sure he's watching now from Mount Mary. Hi, Sam. Yeah, didn't get on the panel, mate. Tough. I'm sure that'll get back. I'm fairly confident. Here's a man who hates Cabernet so much, his second drink of choice to make is gin. He would do anything, even make moonshine in a bathtub, rather than make a dreadful, grassy, weedy, thin Yarra Valley Cabernet, or would he? Ladies and gentlemen, friends on Facebook and Tinder, swipe right for Andrew Marks.
That invitation is only open to Pinot drinkers, of course, Stu. Thanks for that introduction. I've been bored battlers with statistics there, and as we all know, statistics never lie. But when it comes to price on those sorts of scales, we all know that the baby boomers have stitched us up. So let's leave it at that. And when it comes to Pinot, I'd like to say we don't collect it. We just fucking drink it. I think I'd like to frame this debate in sort of in terms of history. I think we can look at it in terms of past, present, and the future. And the question I would pose to everyone here is that same Langton's classification in 20 years' time, I think will look quite very, very different for the Yarra Valley. But I think we do owe quite a lot to the past, and especially the first generation of Yarra Valley great winemakers. So we're talking about the Mount Marys, the Wanturners, the Yeringbergs, the Seville Estates, the Yarra Yerings, etc. They paved the way for the rest of us, essentially, and it's very interesting to note that all those vineyards are planted to Cabernet, but they're also planted to Pinot. And I rang up Reg Egan today from Wanton Estate and had a bit of a chat to him about his thoughts on the matter, and he sort of waxed lyrical as he does. And he said, back in those days, Pinot used to be very difficult to sell. the rougher the wine was, the more people used to like to drink it. And he was clearly referencing Cabernet. So, as we've seen clearly with the restaurant scene, with food and wine, people have become more sophisticated, and hence they've moved to Pinot Noir. So in '94, I was looking at Jancis Robinson's in her older wine companion, and she said back in the day, in '94, that Pinot and Chardonnay are the dominant varieties of the Yarra Valley, producing wines of world class. Of Cabernet, she mentioned that Cabernet also flourishes. Now, let me put it to you that flourishing and being world class are not the same thing. So Cabernet is deeply mired in the past, while Pinot has made that transition to the present. And here we are now, and we're at a stage where actually in the Yarra Valley, I'm going to give you two numbers. Pinot represents 36% of grapes harvested in the Yarra Valley in 2015, while Cabernet represents 9%. We're talking about supply and demand. You know, the people have spoken. It's not just what winemakers are making, it's what people out there are drinking. And it's not just in terms of tonnages, it's also in terms of value. So a tonne of Pinot Noir is worth $500 more than a tonne of Cabernet Sauvignon. So people can't get rid of their Cabernet Sauvignon, and there's an overwhelming demand for Pinot Noir. And why is that? Because no one drinks Cabernet. Quite simply, it's the same reason that no one drinks Pinot Noir. Whatever happened to that? In the 70s, everyone had a bottle of, had cases of Redmonds and all that sort of stuff. I got caught by my old man drinking that back in the day. And it's simply disappeared off the map. We've seen ABC, anything but Chardonnay. We've seen ABS, anything but Sauvignon Blanc. Are we seeing ABC Redux, anything but Cabernet? And when those guys opposite talk about the Cabernets, we know they want to be talking about Pinot, because they all make Pinot Noir. While the three of us here, only one of us makes a Cabernet, and that's in a blend. And let's face it, Pinot is a standalone grape variety. It's often a single vineyard. It's an expression of pure terroir, and it reflects it extremely well. Whereas Cabernet is, it's alone if it doesn't have its two mates, Cab Franc and Merlot on its side. They're the two buddies that it needs to fatten it up. So drinking Pinot can be a transformative experience. Well, often the best that Cabernet has to offer is age-worthiness, collectability. But the truth is no one drinks old wines anymore. When we think of Pinot, we think of sophistication, but also smashability. We want wines that we can take us to another place, but at their best, they've just still got to be a good drink. Like, no one wants to suffer for our art, I'd like to say that there's an analogy when it comes to Pinot making that there's think of it as the bikini line. Next time you look at a bottle of Pinot, there's a lot of that bikini line. I obviously don't groom all that much, hence need to work in the market. But when it comes to the bikini line, there's a lot of trimming, thinning, and plucking that's involved. There's for every hour in the vineyard growing other varieties like Chardonnay or dare I say Cabernet. There's 3 hours that are required for Pinot Noir. You need that extra diligence. It's no accident when we're making Pinot that they've got good, and that's why they've gone from the present to the past. I'll let Steve talk about the future. Thank you very much.
Well, I just want to point out to people that the first swear word was at 7:24 and I didn't say it. Hi, Mum. Not the first swearer. Probably will swear a little bit later. And I got smashability and hair shaving in the same sentence, which I didn't expect. But smashability is indeed, I presume, something that one wants from the glass bottle itself. One wants to drop it and smash it. I guess that's what it is. The hashtag is Yarra Valley Debate. I don't know what smashability is, but I tell you what I do know. That was wine number 3, so we are halfway through the great debate. We have had 2 Pinots Noir, as in attorneys general, and we will now go to the back wine, the middle row in the back. And you know that wine. I can tell what it is just by its glorious colour. I am that good. It's interesting, isn't it? We're talking about Pinot and Cabernet. No one's yet mentioned Shiraz. Shiraz in the Yarra Valley is so bad they turned it into gin, I've been told. Look at that ghastly stuff in front of me. Disgusting. Anyway, Simon Steele, having just got out of his prison cell in Kuala Lumpur, has come immediately to Albert Park via Christopher Pine's office where goodness knows what might happen there. And he will be talking to... Now, this is going to be a hard one for you to be listening to, because whilst Simon's talking, you'll all be drinking the 98-point Yarra Yering Dry Red #1, so we don't really care what he says. Ladies and gentlemen, Simon Steele.
Thanks, Stu. Your wife gave me this jumper. Just after I made love to her. Guys, go to the back row and... back row, middle glass. Please, grab that. This is Yarra Yering 2014 #1. This is absolutely world-class wine. Yeah, please enjoy this while I rab it on for 3 or 4 minutes. It will not hurt. Guys, at the end of the day, Cabernet is king of the Yarra, and I'm going to explain why. Poised and with purpose. Aromatic, powerful, elegant at the same time, with long, silky, fine tannins. The finish is so clean and pure. It is the aristocrat, hence my jumper, yet it can talk to all people. There are no great debates when Cabernet is on the table. People are in love drinking Cabernet Sauvignon. People come together over a bottle of Cabernet. It gives them direction, it gives them strength, it gives them cohesion. In fact, the Western Bulldogs each drank a bottle of Yarra Valley Cabernet the night before the GF. Purpose, poise, and profound was the impact. Pinot, on the other hand, is the prince. Flashy and showy. Open-knit and easy to please. Anyone can make it. Anyone can drink it. Pinot on the table ensures an argument. How many whole bunches? Was it unfiltered? Was it made with only the delicate feet of Lithuanian virgins? It is the frilly undies when you want something much, much more. Bikini, perhaps, as Mr. Marx has said. Yeah, I think that was correct. It is a funny bikini little wine. It is the Gen Y, or a millennial wine. If it played tennis, it would wear a cap backwards and be called Nick. In fact, John Longmire gave his swans... I'm sorry about this, Stu. John Longmire gave his swans some Pinot Noir at half-time, and they lost their way, arguing over whether it was wild ferment or overseeded with Uvaferm 43, like all the natural guys. Cabernet was the Yarra's dominant variety from the very beginning. As Marx has said, in 1838, the Ryrie brothers planted Chateau Yering. Hubert de Castella, St. Hubert's Yeringberg, was there as well. From 1816 to 1921, they planted grapes. The Pinot was in the ground as well. For some reason, it never really took off. It might be because of trends, but maybe because it wasn't suitable. Mount Mary, Yarra Yering in the 60s and 70s have dominated the scene, as we've seen from Sarah's posters. Obviously, the new guys on the scene, Dominic Porte, De Bortoli's making great Cabernet, Medhurst, of course, Oak Ridge, of course. Climate and the soil suitable for Cabernet it's not for everywhere in the Yarra Valley. Hence, I agree with that. 9% is planted to Cabernet. I thought that was a bit low, Marxy, but fair enough. It is a small growing region, but it's of absolute high class. In fact, James Halliday himself, when he talks about Cabernet, he was asked what wine would he put down for a long, long time. If he had to lay a case of wine down to be drunk in the year 2090, it would be Yeringberg Cabernet Sauvignon. He's probably still going to be around then as well, be careful. I'm not going to go on too much further. There was also one other quote from a really famous UK journalist, Hugh Johnson, who is a renowned English wine writer and critic, and he was asked by BBC Radio in 1995 what his most wonderful wine experience was, and it was a 1915 Yeringberg Cabernet. Thank you.
Well, I'd like to see just a show of hands. Who believes that they'll be drinking Yeringberg Cabernet in 2090? You are the most optimistic bloke in the room, mate. You will not be drinking Yeringberg Cabernet in 2030. Oh, that's mean. Sorry. You do look enormously like Hugh Laurie, though, which is interesting, if nothing else. Has anyone ever said that before? Are you familiar with Hugh Laurie? Right. He looks like Hugh Laurie. The Hugh Laurie, ladies and gentlemen. Great to have him. 2090 Yeringberg Cabernet. It will just about be ready to drink by then, I would have thought. Well done. And thank you, Simon, for getting in a mention of the mighty Footscray Bulldogs, our premiers for 2017, as we sit here, right by the Lakeside Oval, the home of the almighty South Melbourne Football Club, the Bloods, who proudly and bravely went down on Saturday by 22 points, much to my dismay. Go Swans. Go Bloods. Maybe next year. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've watched Body Hack, debuting last night, 9 p.m, Channel 10, you know who this next man is. Famous for his regular 7-year appearances on the Gruen transfer as the guy in the quirky shirts with the weird Canadian accent who also once climbed Mount Everest. Todd Sampson also is a winemaker in the Yarra Valley. He makes giant steps. He won the magazine Winemaker of the Year 2 weeks. I was told if I said that, I would be disconnected from Facebook. And my love of social media will not allow that to happen. But he did win another award that no one paid any attention to because they were still talking about Sarah Crowe. He's the final speaker, so this is bottom row, right-hand side. If you're like me, it's what's known as the one with wine still in it, glass. The final speaker of Pinot, this is it. If he doesn't get it right, they will lose. Hashtag Yarra Valley debate. Please welcome the world's most talented human being, Todd Sampson / Steve Flamsteed.
Thanks, Stu, and thanks to our colleagues in the Cabernet team. Let's face it, the winner tonight's the Yarra Valley anyway, so it doesn't really matter about this whole debate. Well, it's yeah. I didn't really prepare anything to say. I just figured we'd work out that it's just the vibe of it all. It's just Marbo, really. That's all that counts. No, anyway. Thanks, Claire. And thanks, Marksy, for presenting a pretty solid case for Pinot. I mean, it's kind of been said. Claire's talked about the diversity of the Yarra Valley as a region, and really, we all talk in wine terms about terroir or the geography and the soil and the essence of where these wines come from. And I think there's no better chameleon for terroir or region than Pinot Noir, and particularly in a region like the Yarra, which is incredibly diverse. It's 55 k's across and 35 wide. It covers a whole bunch of different soil types, and on each one of those soil types, in every one of those hills and valleys, some maniac has planted Pinot Noir. When it comes to Cabernet, we're talking about a couple of strips along a couple of highways, and as Adam said, the figures, it's a bit hard to argue with the fact that 39% of the Yarra Valley's grapes are Pinot Noir, and I think 9% are Cabernet. So Adam's talked about the fact that we're talking, this is really an argument or discussion about the past, present, and the future. The past, we definitely owe a great deal of respect to the old guard of the Yarra Valley who planted Cabernet as well as Pinot Noir. I guess the present really referring to the fact that you as drinkers are much more sophisticated now. You've kind of moved on from that brash, tannic, structured red drink at the back of the table here, and you've really moved forward to sophisticated, perfumed, elegant, funky, wacky, groovy, interesting, sexy wines that you're seeing in the front row. I mean, the back row, I just whipped back through and tried them again, and they're all lovely wines, but I kind of got the glasses mixed up, and it kind of doesn't really matter because they all kind of taste the same. But I also think one point that a lot of the Yarra Valleys, there's some lovely sites that have just been discovered recently, so a lot of the Yarra Valley's being replanted at the moment, and what's interesting is talking to guys like Nick Dry in South Australia, who runs Yolumba Nurseries. He's talking about this crazy demand for Pinot Noir coming out of the Yarra Valley, and I think the demand for Pinot compared to the demand for Cabernet vines is 10 to 1. So 10 times the amount of demand for that variety of Pinot Noir to be planted in 2015 and 16 to 1 of Cabernet. And I guess those figures it's pretty hard to argue with those as well. Sarah filled her heads with a whole lot of numbers. I got a bit confused after the first one and the second prop. but they really refer and it's very clear, it's very important to get this clear. They refer to a classification for wine that's regarded for investment. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't really want to wait around 2090 to drink a wine, particularly one that's changed hands 5 or 6 times and been sold or bought as an investment. I want to drink wine. I want to buy wine to drink wine. And I want to buy wine to drink wine in 2015 and 16, not in 2090. So I hate to quote Jethro Tull, but I think you guys are in the Cabernet corner are kind of living in the past a little. The other point that I think is important to make, and Adam sort of alluded to it, is between the 6 of us winemakers, there's a total of, and I just did some rough figures, but there's a total of 15 Pinot Noirs bottled every year. So 15 Pinot Noirs bottled between the 6 of us. And if I add up the Cabernets or Cabernet blends that we make between us, it comes to 6, maybe 5. Yeah. I didn't want to embarrass the guys next door by asking them actually how many Pinot Noirs they make compared to how many Cabernets, but the figures are kind of there. There's also a reference to the fact that maybe this Pinot thing's a bit of a fad, but if you look back at the original plantings of the Yarra, as Andrew said, between Middleton, Gembrook, Yeringberg, Tarrawarra and Seville, there was Pinot Noir planted as well, and those vines are producing amazing wines at the moment. Simon referred to the fact that there's rarely a debate over Cabernet. Well, there's not much to talk about, really, and I think that's part of the problem. There are plenty of arguments over Pinot Noir because it's one of those wines that actually elicits a lot of discussion. It's an exciting wine, and it really does make us start to ask, where does that wine come from? And start to search out those terroirs and ideally, ultimately, buy some of that wine off producers like us. I think the last time people came together to talk about or argue over a Cabernet was when the Beatles were performing, so yeah. Anyway, it is about the vibe, and I'm sure I'd like to reference Marbo again somewhere there, but that's all I've got to say, Stu.
Go, Flamo. Flamo did a lot of winemaking with a guy called Adam Marks. I'd like to introduce you to speaker number 2, Andrew Marks. Anyway, Marbo, the Beatles, and Jethro Tull. Who would have thought those 3 get in a 4-minute speech about Pinot Noir? Honestly. And I think Nick Dry might be Drongo Dry's son. Am I right?
That's right.
Oh, my God. Any of us who've studied Viticulture 1 and Viticulture 2 will know that Peter Dry... Who's he? You're not Drongo Dry. Bullshit. No one is a fan of those books. Those are the 2 worst books written in history. Hey, mind you. Dry. Dry by name and dry by nature. If you really have problems sleeping, get Viti 1 and Viti 2 by Peter Dry. And you'll have no problem again. Ladies and gentlemen, the final speaker of the final thing with the back right-hand wine, which is in fact a Medhurst Cabernet Sauvignon, because they're complicated people. He's Carlos the Jackal. He's David Bicknell. Welcome, David.
Well, let's stick to the viticultural theme first. Keep in mind that Pinot Noir is in fact a cross between Gouet Blanc, very noble variety, and Cabernet Franc. So you are in fact part of what we are, but of course it's the lesser variety. It's weaker, it has less colour, it has less tannin. It's a variety that's prone to overcropping. In the Yarra Valley, with climate change now, it's prone to being frosted every year. It's got soft skins, it gets mouldy every year. The reason that there's such big volumes is, well, it's like the Australian wine industry. Don't forget, 50% of it is cask wine. It is the goon of Yarra Valley varieties. So, of course, it's smashable. It's light, it's sweet, it's pretty, but it doesn't have any substance or structure. Look at the Cabernet vine. It is the best variety to grow. It's upright, it's compliant, it crops low, it doesn't get affected by frost. We pick it late in the season when it's ripe and the tannins are ripe. It has tannin. So it has this wonderful, savoury character that is lip-smacking that actually makes you want to go back and have more. So the viticultural side is quite simple. Gouet Blanc. So climate change really is likely to kill Pinot Noir in the future. And nice to reference Jancis Robinson in 1994. How about referencing her in 2014, saying the future of Pinot in the Yarra Valley is limited to a few places on top of the hill. Interesting thing. Of course, yes, it is. It's a wonderful strip that we, the three of us, collectively work on, where we make cab, and there is a wonderful little line there. But you know, when you're looking for quality, and we're talking about quality, and this is what this debate's about: quality, not quantity, not about the volume. The quality is on that strip. So it's a bit like hair, really. You only want to see one little strip, but you want the quality strip. Nothing else. It's not inappropriate. I mean, there's a theory that Pinot Noir actually came from Belgium, you know, and can you imagine little moustaches and kitty fiddlers and all that sort of stuff? You know, it's got nowhere. So is it the future? I don't think so. I think it's fashion that's driving it, because in the end, quality always lives in the market. People always go back to quality, first and foremost. All this idea about, you know, the crystal ball into the future doesn't work with climate change anyway. Cabernet has become much more reliable over the warmer seasons in the valley, and that's why you see absolute consistency. And again, yeah, Cabernet makers, they don't talk about all the mumbo-jumbo of clones and it's this and it's that. They're all excuses and all this funky. The F word, what's that? F. Funky is usually referring to the koala's ears. It's a little bit of Brett. It's a little bit barnyardy. It's a little bit Britannomyces. It's a little bit faulty. That's the F word. And we're fastidious cab makers. We don't leave these things to chance. We don't just, you know, it just kind of happens by itself, you know, wild yeast, and it's all natural. We make sure we tailor things so we actually hit the target. Again, the target is quality. Look at Halliday. Where are all the big points in the Yarra Valley? Really, they're in Cabland, aren't they? The big points. And just FYI, Claire makes Merlot. I mean, come on, we're talking about a secondary variety there. So to say that only one of you makes Cab over there is just, you know, it's going a little bit too far. No. I've got all these notes about bikini lines and hairs and things like that, and it's just freaking me out now. Anyway, look, I can't see it. Wow, did I write that? Yeah, quantity. And if you reference Burgundy, let's face it, that's 4 minutes and 29 actually. Most of the Pinot even grown in Burgundy is actually grown in Champagne. So it's more akin to bubbles than it is to making classic red table wine. And let's face it, there's DRC and there's Daylight, yet with Cab there's a huge number of houses that produce exceptional quality. Anyway, to get one final little quote in, the great Andrei Chelychev from the US, Russian-born, who really got the Napa going, he said this: God made Cabernet Sauvignon, the devil made Pinot.
And the devil wore Prada. Carlos, well done, son. Wow, he finished with a bang. And I'm not sure if anyone understood the reference to koala's ears. I certainly didn't. I have no concept of what that was about. But getting both Gouet Blanc and the Goon Bag into 4 minutes on Cabernet, that'll do me. Strong reference point. Pinot Noir is really just a grape variety for Champagne. It's a sparkling grape variety. Could not agree with you more, Carlos. Absolutely brilliant. As I said, I hate both Pinot Noir and Cabernet. I think they're ghastly grape varieties. I like Shiraz and gin. Together in one bottle. How good's that? That is genius, ladies and gentlemen. That is also an example of... couldn't afford to make a Pinot Noir gin, let's be honest. Too expensive. We have time for 2 questions, and then we have to figure out the winner from the clapometer. I have a question. It's come online. Is the Yarra Valley too warm for Pinot Noir? Yes. Hi, Wade. Thanks for the question, Wade. David says an absolute unequivocal yes. Stephen, you have the microphone right next to you. Is the Yarra Valley too warm for Pinot Noir? Now we're in a generation of heat, albeit quite cool today.
It's pretty hot outside there at the moment. But anyway, no, I don't think it is. I mean, the years are definitely warming up, but also there's a lot of the Yarra that goes further and further up the hill. So it's just a matter of exploring much more exciting sites as the years warm up a little. And Cabernet will stay down near the highway in that little single strip that Dave's referring to. But Pinot will go exploring around the Yarra, and like the chameleon grape that it is, it'll tell you exactly where it comes from. If it's from red soil, it'll show the perfume. If it comes from rocky granite, it'll show you where it comes from. If it comes from clay, on the sort of warmer sites in the valley, it'll give you those warm, juicy, dark cherry flavours. So, no, it's definitely not too warm for Pinot. In fact, we're just getting excited about Pinot now.
If it's not too warm for Pinot, is it too cool for Cabernet?
No, it is not. And based on the same argument that...
You come from the Hunter.
Yeah, it's
which is too hot for anything.
Cabernet country up there. Based on the same argument that Flemmo just gave us about Pinot, it's going to give us more and more regions to plant Cabernet creeping up those hills.
Well, really? Oh, heaven forbid. How ghastly. What an awful thought. Sarah writes, "Hi, Stu. Love the new beard and the pocket kerchief. Thanks, Sarah. Can Cabernet be a drink now wine, or does one have to wait until 2090 to enjoy Cabernet at its best?" That's a legitimate question. The bit about the pocket kerchief might have made up.
Yeah.
Simon, question for you.
Definitely not. I think you can look at 2015 Dominique Porte Fontaine Cabernet. It's a delicious drink. You can look at Timo Meyer, who's doing a 100% whole bunch Cabernet. It's actually a really interesting drink as well.
He's mad.
He is mad, but the Cabernet side can be a bit mad as well and a bit quirky. We have these soft, silky tannins, so we can actually drink them quite young. The 2016s that I'm looking at a barrel around the Yarra look absolutely wonderful right now, and they actually will live a long, long time. But they're soft tannins. You can drink them early, and they will also live a long time. So,
wow.
No problems.
Drink now and cellar. Now, I don't know about Pinot Noir. Don't know if Pinot Noir can do that, can it? I think it probably can. Where's the weird guy with the beard gone? Writes Anthony. I think that's reference to you, David. For those of you who haven't seen the photograph, is it on that?
Yeah, it is.
Have a look at Dave Bicknell last week. Dave, Anthony wants to know where the beard went.
Is that swipe left?
Yeah. Honestly, you ask those questions, mate. You're not on Tinder. You're on the other one with an
beard had to
D-E-R in it.
There are no answers. No, I saw you had a beard, and Hobo Chic just went into hobo. So post hipsterism, you killed it, I'm afraid, Stu.
Someone told me that the beard died the day I turned up and grew a beard. Are there any questions from the room before we wrap it up and set the clipometer off? Friend at the back. Of course you're at the back.
There's only one important question here tonight. It's got nothing to do with Cabernet or Pinot, and that really doesn't matter about the Yarra Valley.
Wow.
What do these guys have in their cellar? That is true.
What?
Will overcome all this.
What's your name, handsome?
Brendan Craddock.
Brendan Craddock. Crash Craddock, famous cricket writer for the Courier Mail.
Famous singer from the mid-50s. Biggest hit.
Okay, Crash, seriously, mate, you've had your time. Give it a rest. Are you serious? Repeat the question? It went for an hour. Okay, Crash, now I have to repeat the question so the people on Facebook know what the question was. The question was, what have you got in your cellar? What grape variety is most represented in the Flamsteed cellar?
It goes Pinot, and then it's followed by Chardonnay.
Marks?
Yeah, I'd say Pinot.
Is this just going to go along party lines? I feel like Tony Smith.
Pinot, Gamay, Chardonnay.
Seriously? Can we just pass that
No.
back to him? Did he say Gamay?
Was that Cabernet?
I said Gamay. Gamay is a smart drink.
It's in your cellar, though? Or are you just smashabilityizing it?
Well, don't undersell a good Gamay. They're structurally, they've got guts.
Structurally got guts. There, the Gamay. Unexpected answer. Claire.
I have, excuse me, I have Pinot, Chardonnay, Riesling. I have one magnum of Coonawarra Cabernet that someone gave me when my son was born, which I figure will be ready for him in 1990. Sorry, 2090.
Right, well done. How old's the son now, just quietly?
He is 16.
Yeah, not ready. I mean, he's not ready. The wine clearly isn't ready. Sarah Crowe, I mean, if you cast aside all that disgusting Hunter Shiraz in your cellar, what else is there?
Hunter Semillon. No.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We have just discovered Australia's Hunter Semillon consumer. I knew there was one.
No, I mean, I don't put. Of course, I drink Pinot, and Pinot can be a lovely drink, but I don't cellar it. I just buy it and I smash it, drink it, enjoy it, and it's fleeting, and then it's gone. I probably cellar more Chardonnay than Pinot, but you know, for the long term, it's Cabernet.
Right. Interesting.
The long haul.
We're all in for the long haul. Feels like this has been going for hours. Simon?
Well, look, lots of different things. Obviously, Pinot's in there, but I mean...
You know
for
what's
me,
in your
for
cellar?
me-
Lots of jumpers.
For me, your wife has given me quite a few jumpers. And, but a
Oh
lot
my
of
God, I
my
got a bigger
cellar-
laugh than the first one.
A lot of... that was better the second time. A lot of my cellar's 2014 wines, which is my son's birth year, and a lot of them are Cabernet and Barolo coming up, so I'm not going to buy too much Pinot, except for the great DRCs or the great wines of 2014. Why would you sell a Pinot for 18 years if you can drink it early and get smashability out of it? I agree with that comment. But for longevity, 2014s, Hunter Shiraz, Barolo and Cabernet from the Yarra.
Well done, Simon. Unexpected.
I actually want an honest answer from David Bicknell here because he can be quite duplicitous.
Which means he has two wives, I think. Is that what that means?
Apparently, Crow is my
Yeah,
other
well,
one.
clearly my wife, she's fallen. Anyway, never mind.
Because normally when you hear Carl talk about Cabernet, it's like he's talking about the repetitive maintenance on a beaten up old 68 Chevy. So I actually want an honest answer about his cellar.
You are actually doing my job, Claire.
I know him too well.
Significantly better than I am. Carlos, what do you got?
In my cellar, there's nothing because I have 3 teenage children.
He does.
That's true. That's the correct answer.
Who drink all the Cabernet?
They drink everything. No, they don't. They're not old enough. The only things over my cellar left are the things I don't like drinking.
That's a very good point, isn't it? All the good stuff's already been drunk, hasn't
That's
it?
it.
Except for the
Life's too short.
Nebbiolo. We're still waiting for that. 2014, wow. Unexpected on several fronts. The fact you've got a child surprised me, but anyway. You're the legal age to have... I mean, honestly, you look like a child yourself. Anyway. Sam D'Agostino, would you like me now to wrap it up with some profound words that I don't have? Excellent. We're going to ask for the clapometer. No, we're not. We're first of all going to acknowledge our excellent sponsors, which are Halliday, Halliday. Wow. He's like so famous he only has one name now. He's like Madonna or fucking Kylie. Halliday, P.S., Sam, has been misspelt on your sign. Sam just gave me a single finger. Langton's. Whatever. 4 Pillars Gin. Fever Tree Tonic. And SDP Media, which is Sammy. He's a legend. Right, now. This is it. We're going to the clapometer. And the clapometer will register on, I guess, decibels, won't it? It'll be a decibelometer. And so the decibels will be scored out of a possible decibel maximum of 100. And it's not that obvious that I'm making this up as I go, is it? So, in 3 seconds, I'm going to ask you, that's not true because I'm still speaking. Straight after this, I'm going to ask you to gauge the success of the Pinot Noir team. After that, I will ask you to gauge the success of the Cabernet team. So here's what you do. If you want it to be polite, but you think they were full of shite, oh gosh, that's poetry, give them a little golf clap. If you want to support them, for God's sake, scream, shout, and cheer. Ladies and gentlemen, if you believe that the Yarra Valley's preeminent and greatest grape variety is in fact Pinot Noir, applaud now. Well, I just want to congratulate you. What's your name? Shalene actually put her hand over her partner's mouth so he couldn't scream for Pinot. That's epic. Potentially dangerous, just saying for later on, but you know what? He's a good guy. I know him, and I know what he does for a living, and he makes whiskey. Yeah. Wine, whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, if you believe that the Yarra Valley's preeminent grape variety, or even if you just like them a little bit more, is Cabernet Sauvignon, cheer now!
Most of that was coming from the front table, wasn't it, I think?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, the Yarra Valley, as I think Carlos said, the Yarra Valley is indeed the winner today. The Yarra Valley has won, but let's be honest. Steve said it. Who cares? I haven't listened to Flammo for 20 years, wanker. Seriously. Whatever. The fact is that the Yarra Valley can't be the winner. There must be a winner. It must be Cabernet Sauvignon, or it must be Pinot Noir. And ladies and gentlemen, in an upset, the magnitude of which we have not seen since Saturday afternoon at the MCG, the winner of the Yarra Valley, hashtag Yarra Valley debate, or was it Yarra Great Debate? Doesn't matter. The Yarra Valley debate, hashtag, is neither Chardonnay nor Shiraz, but Cabernet Sauvignon. And that, my friends, was not what we expected. So here's what we're going to do now. Those of us in the room are going to drain those glasses. It would be a terrible shame, Sarah, who's driving back to the Yarra, not to finish that Yarra Yering Dry Red #1. Boom, I'm going nowhere. If there's any left over, just pick up a glass on your way out to the Dunnies. I'm sure there'll be plenty of that. I want to thank the viewers next time. I want to thank the viewers, next time we'll be back doing something even more awesomely good. Put the punctuation in, Sam, and it'll all go much better next time. We're going to ask those in the room to go and have a break. I mean, honestly, if it was when Cabernet was popular, you'd all be going out for a cigarette about now, wouldn't you? Back in the 80s, and we'd all go and have a little Redmond Claret from 1976. Who doesn't have a Methuselah of that stuck somewhere hoping that some idiot was born that year and they could give it away? Ladies and gentlemen, the wrong team won, but we don't care. Giddy up. Goodbye. See you next time.